It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Episode 38 of Two Guys and a Goalie, presented to you by Oddshark. And the microphone wasn't on because he lives up to his name.
Oh, look, he's got he's
shitty
shoving
producer.
a scone in his face. He can't even talk. He's got blueberries in his...
I had my finger ready on the mute button, and I just got...
Don't talk to me with the... You got blueberries in your teeth. It looks like you're missing teeth right now.
Sorry.
How good is that scone, though?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, that's good, eh?
I threw one down before.
Well, guys, that's enough non-hockey talk.
Oh, yeah, that's the last thing we
Someone's
want.
going to get mad again.
I was also going to say this. I've never had a scone in my entire life.
Really?
I'm not English, right? English people eat scones, right?
You ever had a biscuit?
Oh, would you like a scone, right? Gager, how was your scone today?
It's fantastic,
Oh.
Dusty.
Good, all right.
You got to live with
Maybe
it.
I should try one.
Yeah.
What is it, like
It's basically a biscuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
from Popeyes?
No, not...
Well, it's sort
Because
of.
that's a biscuit.
It's sort of like
That's
that.
not a biscuit. That's a stick of butter.
Yeah, but it's good. Is that why it's so salty?
Yeah. I think they put it in the fryer, too, for a quick second, don't they?
I love, yeah, because it's a little
It's a
crispy.
little
It's so
crispy.
good. All right, it is episode 38 of Two Guys and a Goalie, presented to you by Oddshark. Visit them at oddshark.com. Also presented to you by Popeyes legendary Louisiana Chicken and Sport Clip Haircuts, where it's good to be a guy, home of the MVP experience. New location coming out in Sherwood Park as well. And we'll play Keep It or Clip It a little bit later on. As look, I know we got to get to some hockey talk, but the Oscars were last night. You can't just skip over the Oscars. Did you watch it?
No.
Oh, okay, we'll skip over the Oscars then. Did you see like anything online that you were following, or?
I just... Parasite one. I'm interested in watching that, I guess.
I'm not a big fan of subtitles.
I like subtitles.
Do you think people would watch our podcast stream if the entire thing was subtitles and you couldn't understand a thing?
You know what? Subtitles.
Yeah, it's subtitles. The movie that won is all subtitles.
Yeah, but that's in English. So it's like if we were speaking a different language and
So if we were speaking Korean.
Yeah.
It makes me think I could speak Korean when I'm...
Oh, you think watching the movie
Yeah,
once you'll all of a sudden be fluent in Korean?
I'll be like Bradley Cooper in Limitless.
It's the first non-English movie to ever win.
Yeah.
It must be good.
And they won 4 awards.
When is one of those movies any good though? Like,
Well, I don't watch any of like the ones that win that I've never heard of
the
before.
fact that John Wick doesn't win is preposterous.
At least get nominated for some of the effects and
Yeah,
things like that.
like,
No,
yeah.
that's a good point. You're right. Well, we'll see what happens. Okay, so Cass, no interest in the. You didn't
Oh,
even
you
flip it on?
said something I heard on your show today that bugged me.
What did I say?
You said you hadn't seen Sin City.
No, I haven't seen Sin City.
Have you seen Sin City?
No, I haven't seen City. Is that with Vin Diesel?
It's a story of me growing up. No, it's good. You've seen 300, right?
Yeah, Spartan. This
so
is Sparta. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same guy that did. It's kind of like that. Like it's
Oh, it's that weird
Weird
sort of.
kinda,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
got time for that.
Basically only filmed with a green screen.
yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
What type of people use a green screen to
I don't know.
make something look better?
weirdos.
We flew you guys out to...
Right here. Yeah. We're sitting in the Winnipeg Arena right now. It's totally not a green screen.
Well, you guys missed Eminem, though. He was on the...
Yeah, Eminem performed.
Yeah,
Spaghetti.
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's what he did.
That's
Yeah,
what
he
he
did
did.
lose yourself. It was good because he never came and accepted his Oscar when he won it, like 17 or 18 years ago.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he surprised everybody and did a performance last night.
That
was
Jane Fonda, she really keeps too. She's a good looking.
she the one who came out at the end. You did watch it.
I just saw a highlight.
Oh, you got up and watched the morning highlights of the Oscars? That sounds about right. All right, that sounds good. All right, so on episode 38, the trade deadline is 2 weeks from today, and we will have Darren Dreger, one of the best insiders in the biz. He's going to join us coming up in about 15 minutes here on episode 38. We'll kind of take a look at what's happening with some Canadian teams around the National Hockey League, and then, like I said, we'll play Keep It or Clip It a little bit later on. I know there's a lot of other news to get to, but we didn't get to it on Thursday, and I wanted to. And that was Phil Kessel in warm-ups when they did the time-lapse of him just leaning on the bench, talking to the staff for like a minute, 42 minutes. Right at the end, flips a quick puck off and skates off the ice. I find it to be hilarious. What about your guys' warm-up routines? Like, was there a few guys on your team that would kind of do the same sort of thing? Or were you one of those guys? Or did everybody just go out and do exactly what they're supposed to do the entire warm-up?
I never had a guy just do that.
Just lean on the bench?
I mean, I guess I would, if I wasn't playing, I would be the closest thing to that. I guess I would kind of just stretch and I had some fun times. Like I remember sitting at the red line and looking over at the other side. And I remember one game, Doug Gilmour was dancing and putting the puck between my legs and like he'd go, yeah, he like scores and just do it. And I was
And
like,
you were just like on the other team, you're just sitting there.
it's Doug Gilmour. So cool. So
In warm up, he was like coming across center line. And
no,
then,
he would just like, I was close to the
Yeah,
line,
yeah.
and then he would just kind of put the puck between my legs and stuff as I was stretching. So that was kind of funny. Though, so I remember once, this is a minor league story, but we were in, where were we? Rochester. Okay, so, and they had, Barnaby was down there as well at this time. So I wasn't playing the next game, so I went out to visit one of the local establishments. And Barnaby and Boucher was there, D-man for the LA Kings, and me and a couple other guys were there. And Barnaby, we were talking and stuff, how are things, blah, blah, blah. And Barnaby goes, let me score tomorrow. And I go, hey, man, I would, but I'm not playing. And then he goes, well, let me score in warm-up. And I'm like, how are you going to score in warm-up? And he goes, well, I'll come down on a breakaway. And I'm like, okay, I'll stay out late. And I never thought anything of it. And so, again, I'm stretching at the red line, and he skates by and just puts a puck right at center and goes, like, gives me the nod, like, we're doing this. And so it's getting to the end of warm-up, and everyone's going, why is Joaquin still out here? Like, usually he's coffee and has his feet up by now. But I stayed in net, and then the fans in Rochester, they're crazy. So it's pretty full, and then all of a sudden he goes to center and I'm in net, and you can hear the crowd, the buzz. They're going, "Rrr, rrr, rrr." And he came down, everyone left, and he came down on a breakaway in warm-up on me, and the fans were going crazy. He scored, but
Now, you let him score though, right? Because
no, I really tried.
Really?
Yeah, I slipped her 5-hole on me, but the crowd went nuts, and
God.
yeah.
So you gave him the Cape Breton shuffle, but he beat you on it? Or?
No, I didn't do the Cape Breton shuffle. I can only do that when a guy comes in on the angle.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah, once wait till I do it to you, your head will spin.
I always get confused by the exact time to execute a Cape Breton shuffle.
Yeah.
Kaz, what about you in warm-up? Would you always just stand at center ice and like point at everybody in the other team? You're done. You're done.
Every once in a while, you do that.
Would you?
No.
In junior?
In junior,
Would you ever just stand there and intimidate? Like
I wouldn't stand there.
Slash
I'd
the
go
throat.
along the red line a couple times. What I would do when I was trying to do that is I'd just start going deeper and deeper, like on the
just cut across a bit?
cut
Yeah.
across, cut across, like a little bit more, and then it actually turned. And this was the minors too, because you can get away with dumber stuff there. But the challenge was one of my Danny Ehrman, one of my teammates was like, bet you won't go to the bottom of the circle.
all the way down to the bottom of center circle?
Like the other team
That's
side, like
awesome.
all the way down there. So I was like, challenge accepted. I got down to the bottom of the circle.
Nobody said anything?
Well,
Somebody must have said, hey.
eventually I got a pee slap from the league. That was
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like, hey, you
Or
can't.
were you
do
doing it
that.
quite often?
Not like all the time. Every once in a while. I had a couple good ones. Though, I mean, first to an example of a guy doing what Phil Kessel did. Kyle Brodziak, we used to have like official team warm-ups, like where we had to go and do stuff as a team.
Okay.
And even like before practice, where we had like a team warm-up before practice.
On the ice or after? Off the ice, yeah.
Pre-practice.
Yeah.
And I mean, Brodziak absolutely hated those. I'm sure we'll get him on here at some point, but I'll never forget him. Someone asked him why, like, he didn't do any stretching, any kind of warming up before going out for warm-ups, and he just looked at me. He's like, "You ever see a cheetah warm up before they take down an antelope?" And it's like, no, not really. And he's like, "Why are you going to warm up then?" So he wouldn't stand there, but he took it a little bit easy. Jacques Lemaire, though, back when I first started like exhibition games and after I was drafted, you were not allowed to stretch in warm up. You could not like get. You know,
couldn't get down and do a quick
get down and like do a stretch. You were not allowed to. You had to be moving the entire time.
Really?
Yeah, would not let guys stretch.
So guys would have to stretch before, like,
Yeah.
which would kind of screw up the routine a little bit if they were used to
if they were used to it
stretching on the
before.
ice. Yeah.
What would he do if you were stretching?
I don't know. I wasn't about to.
You were always moving.
Can you overstretch?
In reality,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely you can. I think I don't know. Recently, a number of years ago, I was reading some stuff, and it was like they did some studies. It was if you always stretch before you do stuff, then you have to continue to do so to get the injury prevention side of it. If you never stretch before you do things, you don't have to, and it wasn't a huge difference between the two. I think there is something to actually getting moving though, and limbered up a little bit from the blood flow. I don't know.
Which is why everybody plays soccer before the game.
Yeah, which is why everyone plays soccer, and that's just even hand-eye coordination, get your body like used to feeling your body.
Just kind of get going a little bit.
One of my minor league shenanigans. This was in Rockford, Illinois. So Chicago's farm team. It's one of those rinks where the gate you come out of is down in the home team's end that they're shooting on, so you have to skate through the home team zone.
I hate
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And the flip side is they have to skate through your zone too, like the way that rink is set up there. Like you skate through the zone.
Why didn't they just switch ends?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that's weird.
that's the way they had it set up. And I think it was because they had like a couple boxes, and so they wanted the boxes are at the visiting end, like the end the visitors are shooting at. So there's two guys, Brandon Bowleg, and I think it was Kyle Beach. They would always, and it drove me nuts, at the end of every warm-up, they'd sit and they'd start shooting pucks down into your net, like from the far side, and you have to skate through the zone. So I was usually one of the last guys to leave for us. So I'd skate down and I'd see them doing this. Well, it drove me bonkers. I couldn't stand both those guys. So what I did, we just about got in a fight skating by, was warm-up finish. I was going to be the last guy on the ice. I could see them getting set up to do it, and I took the net off with some moorings, turned it around, and pushed it up against
Nice.
the net, and then skated through the zones and just, mouthed off the whole time, both of us, them and me at them, like, because it's just a mess with them.
That's actually pretty good. I like that.
That is a good move.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I think that was the game I had a really good fight against Bowleg too.
So he was so angry, but you turning the net around, you fought him.
It was actually a really good fight. One of my
Really?
pro ones, probably one of the better pro ones, like for length of time.
Like, are we talking an even fight, or you beat the crap out of him for a long time?
Like it was good. He
Really?
That was the only fight I ever broke my nose in, was in that one, and I like we hit each other hard a whole bunch of times. That was
You only broke your nose once.
only once.
Really?
That was the only time. Yeah, he just connected flush with one, and it wasn't even a huge punch. It just
Just
caught me clean.
Damn. Huh, well, you know what? I'll say this: I wouldn't even have known your nose was broken. So
Pretty good doctor.
yeah, it's a nice looking nose.
It's a real nice looking nose.
Also,
a good-
Dusty.
back on the
Good
whole
nose.
cheetah thing for a second, just quickly. You never see the whole video, right? You always just see the cheetah chasing
Have
the
you not
antelope.
ever watched
You
like
don't-
those documentaries?
Yeah, but you don't think the cheetah somewhere in the morning was like, oh, I better stretch for a little bit before I
in the
go out
morning.
and.
So he wakes up from a nap and he stretches, and then he like wanders around for a couple hours, and then he sees it.
But
and
he's still stretched, right?
What about that slow creep? That's what I kind of do too.
Yeah, and that's kind of a little bit of a stretch too, I think.
how is that a
They're
stretch?
limbering up with the
Have you
slow
ever seen me
creep.
do it?
A cheetah limber.
you guys ever seen that Shaq GIF or GIF? And it's like where they have the
cat shaking?
the cat
Yeah.
shaking, and then the Shaq shaking. That just made me think of that.
That is one of my favorites. That's a good one.
love that
Dusty,
yeah.
Sorry, got some news on McDavid.
Oh, okay.
Practice.
Yeah.
Ryan Hrkac, McDavid, not sure he'll play tomorrow. Called it a Charlie horse. McDavid says it doesn't have anything to do with the knee. He said it was pretty painful at the time, but he wasn't worried he'd re-injure it. So him and Clefbaum went out for a quick skate.
Yeah.
They both left early to get treatment, but he is doubtful for tomorrow.
Those are tough. I've had those before.
The Charlie horse?
Yeah, and same.
Because they said bruised knee last night. So is that
It's right
is
above.
that
So
kind
you
of
have a muscle
okay.
right on the inside. It's going to be the one.
It's
it
called
is.
the Charlie horse muscle.
No.
No.
Charlie horse is like the common name for it. It's whatever. So if you put your hand like on your knee and you move it up, it's like the inside. So just inside your knee, the bottom part of your.
I don't
quad.
really have a lot of muscles.
And,
I can't.
I've slammed that. Like I missed a hit. Like I hit a guy kind of clipped and then slammed that into the boards, and I've had that happen. And it's you just can't push with it the same. So you physically you want to, but you just cannot push with it the same. So he probably last night I bet this is typically what they do. He probably slept with like an elastic band or bandage around, like to keep his leg bent, because it just stiffens up so bad, and it's really hard to.
Oh, so keep it bent so that he wasn't straight all night, and then today wouldn't have been able to
Wouldn't
move
have
it
been
all
able to
day.
move it at all. Those are tough though, and it doesn't mean there's nothing long term about them. It's just it's a bruise, and the swelling you just can't do anything.
So how long does that take? Just a couple days? Yeah.
A couple of days.
All right. Gager, you ever get a Charlie horse?
Yeah, I got one right now. Played hockey yesterday. Feel this.
Actually, your arm does look.
Feel it. No, just right here. With your feel that.
Oh, no, I
so
can feel that.
feel that little hole there.
Yeah.
See it now. Feel this one.
There's
See how
no
smooth?
hole.
No hole. No, look.
no hole.
Look.
Can I touch the hole?
Yeah, look. Feel that. See that?
Whoa,
That
what
dent?
is that?
Yeah, because I got hit with a puck yesterday. Here, a guy. I'm not saying who did it because then he'll think he has a
Alumni
really good shot.
skate?
It was the U of A alumni skate.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
My bicep is completely black and blue. But yeah.
Oh man, how come you weren't wearing your gear?
Well, I thought it was. It's only 200 more days till training camp. Trying to toughen up.
Gager was playing skins at the U of A alumni skate yesterday.
You know who did it? Dennis Bonvie. I remember he did it the worst to me. Like he hit me right on the bicep, and my bicep looked like a camel. Like it was completely indented.
Really?
Yeah.
Old Dennis.
So a reverse camel.
Reverse camel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that
I
would
guess
be.
like a camel, a 2-hump camel with the whole.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, so the
We're
McDavid
really
news.
feeling each other out on this
I was
episode.
gonna say. Got to feel
feeling each
Gage's
other
hole, and Kass is disgusted. Same old, same
How
old.
was I disgusted? I was feeling the hole too.
Ooh.
Hey, ooh.
All right. Okay. Well, let's. Hernan had the McDavid news, so let's just quickly transition that to Darnell Nurse, and then we'll get to a couple other things. Well, Dreger's going to be joining us in about 5 minutes here too. Kass, your thoughts on signing Nurse to a 2-year deal that takes him right up to unrestricted free agency, but you get him for 5.6 right now.
A little bit of a gamble.
Little bit.
Good price for 2 years. Fair value, I think. But it's a little bit of a gamble. Are you going to be able to re-sign him? Do you think he's hit his ceiling, or is he going to continue to improve? If he continues to improve, it's going to be painful to pay him that much more. I wonder if part of the thought is they're looking at this and going, okay, the next 2 years, this is when we have to make our push. And so if we can have him for a little bit cheaper, maybe it keeps a little bit more cap space free, and we can spend it elsewhere and try to make a run at it. It's a little scary knowing you could lose a guy first year of free agency.
If he's the same guy he is right now in 2 years, and I don't know how much better he'll get, Gager, how much more money do you think he can demand than 5.6 mil?
Yeah, I think I hope he gets better, but I think that's the perfect number for him. You know, I don't think he's we were hearing rumors of 8 million and stuff. That's just too much for him right now. We'll see what it is in 2 years. Like Kass said, it is dangerous going into free agency and stuff like that, but I don't think it still puts the Oilers in a good position for right now, and I don't think he gets paid much more than that.
No, Kass, what do you think? Like 6 point? Do you think the Oilers would do 6.5 for a long-term deal in 2 years?
In 2 years?
Yeah.
If he stays exactly
Because it'd be
the
27 if he stays exactly the
same.
same.
Market growth goes up a little bit for guys. Inflation, let's call it. Cap's going up. You want to look at percentage of the cap. Yeah, 6.25 would be.
Do you think his decision-making is what kind of stops him from being like that elite top 2 D-man on a team?
I think at times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he's got all the athletic ability in the world. Most of the league's probably scared of him because he's an absolute killer if he has to drop the gloves. Like he's a physical specimen. So why isn't he? You know, he's got all the tools you think to be a top
defensive zone decision.
top pairing guy. Yeah,
and he's got better. Last 2 years, he's got a lot better. I thought he's improved dramatically the last 2 seasons. So there still could be some upside in terms of growth from him. Early on in his NHL career, I really felt he got caught trying to play outside his means in the defensive zone. Like he really wanted to be that aggressive physical guy. So his mentality always was just go. And it caused him to get into a little bit of trouble because he'd run out and get beat by guys slipping off him, spinning off his pressure, or he'd just take himself out of position defensively. So he's gotten a lot better at that. But you know what? This season, that's one thing I will say this season that he's done is there haven't been too many times I've noticed him running around in the defensive zone.
I think there was kind of a bad stretch late November to early December where I felt like he was just making a lot of bad decisions out there. But that's kind of when the Oilers weren't playing well either. He was just in the D zone. He got caught in that kind of no man's land, whether to go or not to go. You know, he just seemed out of position. 2 years more experience, so yeah.
Well, by that point, he'll be like almost 500 games in the league.
Yeah, he should be able to. He'll be able to read the play a lot better having that much more experience.
Well, and not a lot of D-men would change that much after 500 games. Right? Like,
no.
You know what you're going to get.
Darren Dreger asked, so we'll get him on at 225.
225?
A little late. And I have a question, I guess, for all three of you. With Darnell Nurse, how much of a concern is his passing out of his zone? Because in the last post-game show, one of our texters called him, he's an icing machine. Like, he ices the puck far too often when he's trying to just get pass the puck to, like, Cassian to tip it into the zone. How much is passing, and how much does he have to improve in that?
This is the one thing I saw from him all the time when he was kind of struggling was he had the 10-foot pass, but that's not the sexy pass. The sexy pass is the further one. So again, I think with experience, especially with D-men, it's just automatic. That 10-foot pass, boom, let's get going. Over the last little bit, if you watch him, he looks that guy off almost, instead of just going, oh, that's the guy. Let's get it to him. Let's get it out there. Just keep it a little bit simpler for him, I think.
All right, let's talk Montreal because we're going to go there with Darren Dreger. Kovalchuk was a hero against the Leafs in overtime, scores, turns around, has the whole crowd going crazy, calling for it. Like, they love him in Montreal. They just do. So if you're the Habs, actually, this is our poll question today. Let's do our Popeyes chicken poll question. Try Popeyes legendary Louisiana chicken today. Seriously, if you haven't had Popeyes yet, you're missing out. They've got locations popping up all over Edmonton right now. What should the Habs do with Kovalchuk? Sign him or trade him?
I think you got to wait to see where they're at. Closer
only
to
2
the
weeks
deadline.
from now.
I know.
Yeah, it's not like how close are they?
How
gonna
many
be?
games they got though? 4?
Well, probably four to six,
so
maybe. Like,
I would wait to the last possible minute. If they're getting within 2-3 points, I think maybe you keep them.
just ride it out. Don't even have to sign him. Just keep him and try to make a push.
Yeah, I think he's needed there for them to succeed and make the playoffs. So unless they're like really far gone, I would wait to the last minute to see what happens with him.
If you're Edmonton, what do you give up for that? Ooh.
I think a couple of teams might be interested in it. Like, I could see Calgary may want it, but we talked about them having a little bit extra skill too. And I don't know, like, would you be willing? It depends, because if you get the Kings version of him, that wouldn't be good. But this is what you're seeing now. Montreal's putting him in spots to have success. He's on the power play. He's taking shootouts. He's out in overtime. Like, all these things that maybe weren't happening in Los Angeles. So would you give up a second-round pick to get a rental in Kovalchuk? I don't think I'd do it.
Third maybe.
Yeah, maybe a third. Maybe a third next year.
Third next year.
Yeah, maybe a third next year.
Would Montreal go for that, though? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. If you're Montreal, you're sitting here going, wow, he's really helping us right now. Let's say they're 3 points out of a spot. Is it worth the third-round pick to take out who's one of the most offensive producers in your team right now?
Yeah. And the big kick
And you
with
can
him
still sign
is-
him maybe
is
at the
the
end because
salary
he
cap
seems to like
hit
it.
too.
Yeah.
Hit is tiny.
$750K, man. It's
anyone
nothing.
can fit that in.
Yeah, he's free right now. So, did you just smirk when you said anyone can fit that in? What has happened to Cassian? Gager, what is going on
I
here?
don't know. He's a dirty man.
I've never
kinda
seen
funny,
anybody
though.
be such a pervert on this podcast.
He's really taking this the stiffness to heart here. Hey-oh.
You touch Gager's arm once, and all of a sudden. Okay, what's the poll question? What are the results at right now?
Yeah, 195 votes in. 71% for trade him.
Really?
So get the asset. Get what you can. I wonder if a team, and I mean, we look at it from a Canadian perspective because of where we're doing this, but I wonder if there's a team out there like Colorado or something.
That's what I was thinking when you were saying that.
Somebody like that who says, you know what,
He
we're in a
plays-
position to kind of go give her here. And
second line with Kadri and that.
if somebody called the Habs and offered them a second-round pick, I think you have to move him. And actually, if he likes it there, which he appears to like it there, say, go
could
take a
sign
run
back.
and come back here. We'll give you 1.5 or 2 million or something.
Yeah, I can always come back. I
for a
guess.
year or whatever,
Yeah.
right? You could always come back if
Now,
he
do
really
you
likes
think
it.
he'd sign for that, or would he want more?
Oh, didn't you kind of just learn a lesson in Los Angeles? Like, big money might not always get you in the best spot. So I think he's not signing for $750, obviously, because he got that for like a prorated type of deal, right? So, but it's an interesting one for sure because there'll be some teams that'll definitely have some interest in him. Winnipeg Jets have won 3 in a row. We're going to hit on that as we work our way through the rest of the podcast. Flames got by the Canucks 6-2. Pedersen was getting a rough ride in that one, but a lot of stars do. So we'll get into that a little bit as well. Buffalo Sabres have completely fallen apart. Well, fallen apart. Not fallen apart, right? Fallen apart.
They fell.
Yeah, they fell. They fell. We might get into that a little bit here as well. And then, like I said, we'll play Keep It or Clip It a little bit later on. And Hernan is going to try to track down Darren Dreger for us right away as well. Kyle Connor, by the way, Winnipeg Jets.
Well, I watched the Jets a lot
He's
this weekend.
good, isn't he?
He's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I really, and even, well, it's funny. I always thought Laine was kind of slow, but he's sneaky fast. Like, it doesn't look like.
You see his back check on the weekend?
Yeah.
In overtime?
Yeah.
Got back, broke up an odd man rush, lifted the stick, turned around, fed the puck up, followed up on the
4-on-1.
play, and finished it.
You should finish a 4-on-1.
Yeah. Says the goalie.
Says the
Right.
goalie.
All right, we've got TSN hockey insider Darren Dreger with us here on Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Joaquin Gage, and Matt Cassian. Dregs, appreciate the time, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I want to say, look, I talk to you once a week on the radio, but there are different topics you can talk about on a podcast. So I wanted you, like, when you went to TSN and became an insider, because you grew up in media as like a reporter and an anchor, and then at Sportsnet, I think you were an anchor to start. What was that transition like? Is that like something you were pushing for, or did they say, we want you to become this, continue to develop your contacts?
Yeah, no, it kind of happened organically, to be fair. So I jumped from covering the Oilers and being part of that broadcast crew in 1997-98 to the fledgling Sportsnet, and it was CTV Sportsnet at the time back in 1998. I was part of the launch, and so I was hosting Oilers games in 97-98, working for then A Channel and doing a little bit of everything. And I was hired at Sportsnet in 98 to be a national host and essentially be, kind of the national property for all NHL related events on Sportsnet. So that's kind of where it started. And then as things kind of unfolded at Sportsnet, I started to develop more contacts. Guys that I knew in junior hockey were now not only playing or moving into coaching or management. And again, it just kind of seemed to evolve organically. So I don't think I ever identified that I wanted to be a hockey insider. Bob McKenzie pretty much had that wrapped up back in the day and is still considered a pioneer. Truth be told, I did play-by-play for the Brandon Wheat Kings in the early 90s and then did Manitoba Moose in the International Hockey League in Winnipeg when the Winnipeg Jets left to become the Phoenix Coyotes. And so I always had that in the back of my mind, that I would be a play-by-play guy. So everything that happened at Sportsnet and then developed into why I left Sportsnet in 2006 to join TSN is all sort of in luck and a combination of things.
And now here you are 2 weeks before a trade deadline, sending out 1,000 text messages a day. So.
Yeah, it's about right.
All right, let's start just quickly with the news in Edmonton today. Darnell Nurse, 2-year deal, $5.6 million per year. We were just talking about here on the podcast, like it's a little risky because not many teams will sign a guy right up until unrestricted free agency at the age of 27. But that's the chance the Oilers are taking here. Do you see it as a little bit of a risk?
Well, it's obviously a little bit of a risk because it walks them into free agency. But I think that management and organizations have come to a place where they recognize that, of course, there are certain gambles that you either have to be willing to take or not willing to take. But for cap reasons, if you're transparent in why you're doing this on a short-term basis, I think that the players, especially in this case, Darnell Nurse, who's a key part of the leadership group of the Edmonton Oilers, have recognized, all right, well, you know what? 5.6 is pretty good money. And if I continue to play the way I'm playing now, I continue to develop, there'll be a little bit more flexibility by the time this contract expires. And then maybe there I get the money that I feel like I'm probably going to deserve at that point. But I want to first and foremost stay and continue to be part of this group that is developing within the Edmonton Oilers. So I want to give Darnell Nurse more credit than I want to give the Edmonton Oilers. There's a gamble, of course, because Darnell Nurse could, flip a little bit or things go a little bit different. And he says, all right, well, after 2 years, if there's any sort of disconnect or whatever in year two, it's his option to decide if he wants to go to free agency or not. But the way that all sides feel today, I think that there's risk, but it's somewhat limited because of the fact that Darnell Nurse is committed long-term to the Oilers.
Hey, Darren, it's Joaquin Gage, Two Guys and a Goalie podcast outsider.
Nice.
I was reading today about the goalie situation in Toronto with Hutchinson and Crawford, as I believe, are sharing Campbell, are sharing the net. Yeah. I've been in situations where there's 3 goalies on the ice. It is not fun. It's impossible to get into a rhythm. I hated sharing the net, especially in practices. Are they going to be doing something with Hutchinson soon, or are they going to keep 3 goalies the rest of the year?
I can't imagine they keep 3 goalies, Joaquin. When you look at, you're right. I mean, your history It's never perfect. I look at the New York Rangers and what they've done with their 3 goalies there, and really it's the fuel for our ongoing speculation. And probably, really, really fired things up in New York with the Georgiev speculation and whatnot. I don't know what they're going to do with Mike Hutchinson. I really don't. I don't know if they want to keep him to see if they're going to need depth, either at the NHL level or, in the American League level. They first have to figure out whether or not Freddie Anderson is going to be healthy anytime soon. And I know Freddie spoke today, being Monday, for the first time in a while since he suffered that neck injury. And by all accounts, it sounds like he's really close to being able to return. So maybe Hutchinson is the backup. But look, given the way, and I feel badly for Michael Hutchinson, because I think he's been okay. And often the games that he started, he was better than okay. But for whatever reason, maybe it's the growing pains of the Toronto Maple Leafs and where they're at. If he let in a bad goal or a goal was scored that wasn't his fault, but the defense broke down as a team defense, he was the guy that got hung out to dry because of it. So they might be buying a little bit more time in that regard as well. But it's never perfect. One thing I know is they're committed to Jack Campbell and obviously committed to Freddie Anderson. So whatever the end game is for Mike Hutchinson, it's not going to end well in Toronto.
Yeah, I know how he feels being that third guy and destined to go somewhere else. It's not a good feeling. So there's a lot of sympathy on my part with him.
I get it.
He's tearing up here a little bit.
Yeah, Gager's in tears thinking about being the third string guy right now.
Oh God, it was just
So
terrible.
good.
Just terrible.
Darren Dreger with us on the podcast.
Yeah, I did. Darren, I just had a question for you. Moving a little bit further east to Montreal, we had a discussion here today too of not just Kovalchuk, but the Montreal Canadiens in general. Only 2 weeks to go here till deadline hits. Are they going to be buyers or are they going to be sellers?
I don't think they know exactly yet, and that's the precarious position of so many teams that still believe that they're in the mix, and it's why that. We in our business continue to speculate on who might be a good fit here or there. This player should be available contractually, all of that. But the reality is that a lot of teams, Montreal included, don't have a clear definition or direction of where they need to get to on the trade front. And that's why I've been very skeptical with some of the trade speculation around guys like Thomas Tatar or even Jeff Petrie, former Oiler, right? Like, these guys are under contract. Marc Bergevin knows that he's got to add skill to the Montreal Canadiens lineup, yet he's willing to allegedly, part with Thomas Tatar, who's having a brilliant year, and he's got another year left on his contract. Now, that could be when they get to days leading up to February 24th, and now they're back 8-10 points out of a playoff spot, and it's pretty clear they're not going to be able to claw back. Maybe you start engaging in that type of conversation. But even still, it doesn't make sense for me. Again, I look at that Montreal Canadiens lineup, and they've got to do more in adding the pieces up front. They've got some good young talent coming. I think Nick Suzuki is going to be terrific. Long-term upside of Nick Suzuki is off the charts for me. They've got Cole Caulfield coming. There are some intriguing pieces, but they're going to need help. Otherwise, if this is yet another non-playoff year for the Montreal Canadiens, how can next year look better when you've traded away, arguably, two of your top players in Thomas Tatar and Jeff Petrie? So the jury is still out on what Bergevin might do, and I think that's simply because I think they're a long shot, obviously, but they feel like based on the way they've played of late that they're still in the fight.
Hey, Darren, I just wanted to ask too, a few weeks ago, we were fortunate enough to see the rebirth of the Battle of Alberta here in Edmonton and Calgary. Just being such a unbelievable sportscaster and so good at your job, I just wondered, how is it when maybe just not having to report on the normal day-to-day stuff of the NHL, when something like that, a resurgence of a rivalry comes back, and do you have the last game of the year between the Oilers and the Flames circled on your calendar?
Oh, 100%. And I love every second of it. And we've talked about this, both at the national level and certainly regionally in the multiple radio segments that we do and whatnot. But, look, I mean, so much of what we do on a day-by-day basis, game by game, is dissect, right? Like this weekend, it was Elias Pettersson is being mistreated with the Vancouver Canucks, right? So,
Yeah.
so obviously, you know, the National Hockey League has to do something more to protect its stars. Well, that's the narrative that's coming out of that. Even that is refreshing for me because, you know, so much of what we do on a game-by-game basis is split hairs. And, you know, we've talked about this before, but, you know, something like an offside challenge. I mean, the offside challenge was introduced because of the significant offside plays, not because, you know, a player's skate was in the air or it was like a quarter of an inch offside. That wasn't the establishment or the reason behind that rule change. So when you get something legit and natural as a Battle of Alberta that isn't fabricated, you know, you don't have network TV that's trying to dramatize, you know, this legit rivalry. No. This one is homegrown and it's real. It's fun to talk about. You don't want anybody to get hurt. But all the storylines that bubbled around that, you know, even the Giordano hit on Connor McDavid in the rematch, the David Hrkac, you know, stick toss, the stick, the bat flip. I get all that. I loved every second of it because now we can have hockey conversations and rivalry discussions as opposed to just, you know, trying to create an audience, you know, somewhat in a fabricated way from a network TV perspective.
I thought it was a little barbaric.
Says the guy who fought for a living. I love it. That's great. Dreger, when you look at Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver, and Edmonton, and considering how close these four teams are going to be, and whether it be the Pacific or the wild card race, between now and the deadline, is there one of those four teams that you think will be a little more active, or at least try to be a little bit more active than the other ones?
Well, I think Vancouver is okay to stand pat. You know, I know that our colleague Pierre LeBrun talked about Wayne Simmons as a possible fill-in if Mike Ferland doesn't get healthy enough to come back to the Vancouver Canucks. And I'm sure that Jim Benning will stay on that. You know, I mean, what's it going to take to get Wayne Simmons out of the New Jersey Devils? So, I mean, there's the potential of that. We know that there's an appetite, you know, in Edmonton to add a piece up front. Calgary is a little bit all over the place, just given the injury to Giordano, and they've got other injury issues on that back end as well. I look at the Vegas Golden Knights guys and wonder what Kelly McCrimmon might have up his sleeve. You know, he too has been making calls, and I think he'd like to beef up his back end. That entire division is just it's wild, and I think it's going to continue to be wild. Certainly up to the trade deadline, and then it becomes just simply hockey. You know, who's gonna to win the games that they have to win, and ultimately, you know, claim that title in the division. So, yeah, I mean, there's the potential of the two Alberta teams of, you know, being active, certainly being creative. But I look at some of the other teams around that division and wonder if they're not willing to be as active as well.
Well, Vegas has never been afraid to pull the trigger on a deal either, right? And pay the price to do it. So yeah, that'd be a real kick in the ass for all the Western Canadian teams who are sitting here going, let's go out to the division, and then Vegas goes out and gets Alec Martinez and somebody else on the back end, and all of a sudden they're laughing. Yeah, no, that wouldn't be bad at all. All right, so you've recently got the podcast going as well with Ray Ferraro, the Ray and Dregs podcast. How much are you enjoying that? And do you live that weird podcast life that we do as well?
You live like I do?
Definitely do. Yeah. Well, you guys seem more organized than we are. So we Ray and I tend to do our podcast weekly in increments, right? Like we'll do a chunk of it on one morning, and then because we've got a guest planned, that guest isn't available till another day. So then we've got to record on another day, and then, you know, Ray, because of his travel schedule with TSN, is all over the map. So we're kind of up in the air all the time. And the one thing that I think I've failed at so far is pissing him off. I mean, he's not like, you guys probably follow him on social media, obviously. You know, he likes to engage on Twitter. And I can poke the bear a little bit on occasion, but maybe it's too early in the morning. He lives in Vancouver when he's home when we're normally recording these things. But we haven't hit a hot button topic quite yet. other than the Boston Red Sox trade last week, but I had nothing to do with that, so I can't take credit for that. I mean, he's a diehard Red Sox fan, and he was ready to hand in his fan card after the trade. But no, I mean, it's we have a lot of fun, and you guys too. I mean, that's a big part of it. Otherwise, why would we do it? We've got enough crap going on in our lives and what we do professionally. If we're doing podcasts and not having fun and shaking the tree a little bit, then what's the purpose in doing it?
Yeah, that's a good. We need to have more fun, guys. That's bottom line.
Trust me, Darren, I'm shaking this tree.
Dregs, really appreciate the time, man. Best of luck with the podcast, and best of luck staying sane over the next 2 weeks.
All right. Thanks for the interest, boys. Take care.
There you go. It's Darren Dreger, who's doing the podcast as well for TSN with Ray Ferraro. But our podcast is better because we have 2 former National Hockey Leaguers.
I think I was traded for Ray Ferraro.
What?
In junior. It was one of those
In
trades.
junior?
If you trace it back by so many, like it works out that I was traded for Ray Ferraro from.
So you weren't actually traded for Ray Ferraro?
No.
Draft
But,
picks
yeah,
were.
I'm like the bag of pucks and the tape.
So how did that come up?
Well, he played in Portland, but then he got traded to Brandon, and it was junior. We were working stuff out because Gretzky was, all the trades and stuff, and we were trying to figure out, well, who got traded for this, and I think it was a long bus ride, granted, but I think it works out that I was traded for Ferraro.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and who got the better end of that deal?
Well, you guys.
Got to give up quality to get.
Yeah, I'd be on TSN right now.
Dusty, I have one more update for the Oilers. Interested?
Okay. All right.
TSN,
What is
Brian
going on here?
Rashog, Neil isn't getting better as fast as they'd hope, according to Tippett. Said it's an injury that can easily be rehurt and that Neil is frustrated with it. Not sure when he will return.
Wonder if it's a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
High ankle sprains are the worst.
There's a hard.
Just to get those playing basketball all the time, man. They're awful. That's going to take a little while.
I've never had the high ankle sprain.
So why did they send Benson down?
Because they call it Colby Cave.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw Cave.
But here's the thing, just quickly on this, and then we'll get to keep it or clip it. With the Oilers, since Neil has been out, Cassian hasn't been the same, so Cassian's been taken off that line. So they've basically lost an entire line just because James Neal's been hurt. Really? I know McDavid drives that line, but McDavid, Cassian, and Neal together, that was a pretty good group.
That's a
right?
really good line.
They should have tried Benson.
I don't know, man. Benson doesn't look like he's ready to skate at this level.
He looked a
Don't you
little
think?
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Well, that was fine. Like, I didn't expect him to not be overwhelmed.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's like, oh, what's up with Benson? He's a boss.
It's much easier for a goalie coming up from the minors and playing in an NHL game than a forward or a defenseman, for sure. Like, because it doesn't change that much, right? Like, with a player, you're playing with new people. You're playing against way higher skilled guys. Yeah, that's got to be tough.
Canucks Flames. I wanted to get to this one because it was a big win for the Flames. Canucks had a chance to kind of same sort of thing with the Oilers against the Coyotes. A chance to really put some space between the two teams. I don't know if you saw it online. I think I retweeted it about Pettersson getting harassed by the Calgary Flames, and it happens for a lot of guys. But Cass, would you like to see the NHL officiate a little bit better for the star guys?
Absolutely,
Yeah?
I would. Listen, if you're not going to police the game yourselves as the officials, then you need to let the players do it.
And the players can't really
And the
anymore.
players can't anymore. Because I tell you what, if one of those guys, and I didn't even see who it was, whether it was Hrkac or someone else, is harassing Pettersson and taking away space and slashing and hooking and generally being a nuisance, well, you have like a Stu Grimson go and grab the guy and beat the snot out of him. You take your 2, 5, and a 10. Do you think the guy's going to do it again?
No, and then Pettersson gets to go on his way.
Gets to go on his way.
Yeah.
You kill a penalty and you be done with it. That's not the way we do things anymore. I'm not saying we have to do it that way. If you're not going to do it that way, you need to police the game properly. That's what you've been telling people you're going to do. That's what you've been telling people. We need to get fighting out of the game. We need to get this dirty play out of the game. And then you just don't do anything to eliminate it. It's dumb.
I don't see how anybody would. I get it in the playoffs, things are, you let things go a little bit more, but in the regular season,
But even then, that's dumb.
I know. I
Why?
agree with you 100%. It's dumb, but it's what happens. I don't agree with it, but it's what happens, right?
But it shouldn't
But
happen.
I
It's
feel
dumb.
like a lot of people are okay with it in the playoffs.
Call the game. It's dumb. Call the game the way it's supposed to be called, and call it consistently. Like if you're gonna want physicality and fighting out of the game, fine. Okay, you want the skill game, great. But call the rule book then. Otherwise, you're going to have exactly what's happened to Pettersson happening, and it happens to Connor McDavid too.
Well, that's what I mean.
Which
Like
is
how
like the hooking, the slashing, the holding, the obstruction, the face washes, the everything, because players are going to do that. It turns it into a league of the rat. And I said years and years ago that that's the direction they're going, as long as things continue to progress, and they progress at a quicker rate than I even anticipated. And now that's exactly what it is. The team, even in the playoffs, it can get away with more little dirty things. And I'm not talking big two-handed chops here, but it's going to be little slashes at the ankle, at the back of the calf, little things at the wrist, trying to catch a guy in the hand. Plays that maybe won't necessarily or will not be called because of the officiating, and you're gonna have good players either hurt or with less space. It's gonna make the game less exciting and more sucky. You can't have it both ways if you're the league. It's like let the players police themselves or police the game. Do one of the two.
would it buy McDavid and Pettersson space if they went out and full on Shane Churlet somebody like Pavel Bure did back in the day? Remember Bure? Like the mother of all elbows. That's what Don Cherry called it back on Rock'em Sock'em.
But that's
whatever
the,
it was.
that's the
but
thing
like,
is like you.
But what about like a good, like what if those guys start playing, fighting dirt with dirt or whatever? Yeah,
absolutely, go for it.
Yeah, because you can only be such a nice little skilled guy for so long before you want to two-hand somebody right across the wrist.
And if I was Austin Matthews, I'd be doing it to everybody.
Yeah.
Because I played in Toronto, so I'm never going to get suspended.
It never gets suspended. You see that picture of Matthews on the plane with his shirt undone?
Oh,
and,
God.
This guy is something else, man.
Yeah.
He is hilarious.
He's pretty
He's got to be doing it as a troll because who rolls like that? That's insane. All right, so that's something to keep. I feel like that's what those guys need to do. I feel like if somebody's coming to hit Pettersson, he needs to butt end him right in the cheek and say, "Don't come anywhere near me."
Oh
anymore.
no!
I played
you
with
can't,
guys.
You can't because that's violence. You can't have violence.
What you do is you flip your stick over. A guy I used to play with did this. He grabbed the blade of his stick in his hand when the scrums.
Gooseneck.
Yeah, and then guys would come in and you'd hit the guy, but you'd hit them with the
blade of
the stick in the face.
Nice.
Keeps him away real quick.
Who is it?
Well, then they need to do that.
I think Tony the Hrkac Circus.
Yeah.
He's telling us like
he'd flip
he'd
his
do it
stick and
do it in scrums. The guys coming up, but he'd go for the collarbone with it.
He dig the blade of his stick into their collarbone.
You go like you'd have it like this, and you try to not hit the guy in the face because it's like you're going to get caught, but you go for the collarbone.
Oh.
Is that former Oiler Tony Hrkac you're talking about?
I mean, he's former like 10 teams.
Yeah. I have his St. Louis Blues cards.
He played it, so he got brought in. This is just the insanity of Kevin Constantine back in the day. So back in Houston, like for whatever reason, they decided we needed more veteran leadership. So they brought like a 42-year-old Tony Hrkac out of retirement. So he played with Tony for a couple months. Awesome guy, but it was like
in Houston,
his daughters. Yeah, in Houston, his daughters were older than most of the guys in the team. Tony. He was a great guy, a lot of fun, but he was 42 and couldn't move.
36 games with the Oilers. Played in St. Louis, Quebec, San Jose, Chicago, St. Louis again, Dallas, Edmonton, Dallas again, Islanders, Ducks, and Thrashers. Then Milwaukee. And, he played with you guys 6 years. He'd been retired for 4 years.
Four. No, it's more than 2.
4 years.
That's crazy.
He stopped playing in 05. You guys brought him in 08. So 3 years, 3.5 years.
Ridiculous.
That is crazy.
He's
Actually,
the Crash
he might be
Davis
coming-
of
he
the.
might be coming to the Alzheimer's thing.
Oh, really?
But he probably won't remember me because he played on so many different teams.
I played with you. Yeah, so did everybody else.
So did everybody.
Gotta poke him for the show.
Yeah, that'd be good, actually. Give us the old
Hrkac
Yeah,
Circus.
that'd be good. All right, here we go. Let's play Sport Clip Haircuts, home of the MVP experience, where it's good to be a guy. If you go into Sport Clips for a haircut, I suggest spending the extra few bucks to get the MVP experience. And actually, if you go in there the first time, I believe they give you the MVP experience for free, so you can check it out, and it is amazing. All right, keep it or clip it. Here we go, guys. The Jets would be crazy to trade Kyle Connor for help on the blue line. Keep it or clip it. I only bring this up because I saw his name mentioned to Colorado in a possible rumor.
Oh, keep it. If that would become the worst trade in history when he goes somewhere else and just keeps scoring 30 goals a year for the next. Never do that. Yeah, after seeing him this weekend, I'm a big fan.
I'm gonna keep it. You're giving up a known for an unknown, probably. And
Yeah,
that,
because
to
the
me, is
rumor in
always risky.
Colorado was Bowen Byram.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh,
that changes
Wait a
everything.
second.
everything changes. But look, if
Yeah.
you're Winnipeg,
But it depends on what you want. Like, are you a win right now,
Well,
or are you
that's
win in
the
the
thing.
future?
Yeah.
Because if you're winning in the future, you go, that's intriguing because he's a stud.
but if you're the Jets right now, the top 6 that's in their prime, you're not trading Kyle Connor for a defenseman who's not going to be elite for at least 2 years, right? Like,
Maybe 1 year.
yeah, maybe 1 year. You think he's going to be like Cale Makar next year?
Is he?
He moves
know.
Is he that good?
He moves well enough. That's the thing.
He's mean too.
Plays a little mean, a little edge.
Yeah.
All right, question number
He
2.
got that from me.
You passed all your meanness off to him when you held him as a baby. Joaquin Phoenix was better than Heath Ledger as the Joker, which he won an Oscar for last night. Keep it or clip it.
It's a dumb question because they're different characters.
Which Joker did you prefer more?
Well, I got to think about this one, Cass.
Or Jack.
My namesake's in this, so you know what?
Oh, we have Joaquin.
Oh, yeah, we didn't know it's the same name.
Yeah, that's right. No, I totally didn't think about it.
Jesus. Yeah, I'll go. I'll keep it. I like that, and he's got a great name.
Cass? They're different characters, 100%.
Different characters.
But which
with
Joker? Who
different
did a better?
purposes.
Like which?
I mean, they're both.
I thought they were
good.
both awesome.
They're both really, really good.
Which one did you prefer more?
I'm gonna still lean towards Heath Ledger.
He was so good.
He was so good.
They were both really good.
The Heath Ledger is more of a. He's more the. It's
cartoon
weird to say
character
the
Joker?
comic book kind, like the dark comic book character.
That's where they're different. The movies are so different.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be a sequel to Joker?
No, there's not going to be.
What?
They said
Is
no.
that like confirmed now?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they said they might be. All right, Tyler Benson will be in the Oilers opening night lineup next season. Keep it or clip it.
Clip it. I think it takes him a couple weeks, maybe a month or two.
So he's ETA November.
Yeah,
Type of thing?
November, December, depending on how the season's going.
Yeah, I agree with Cass. He's I think he's well. It's a small size. I saw it. It's hard to come into the NHL midway through the season like that. But yeah, I think he needs more time.
Hernan, I'm curious for your answer on this one too.
Yeah, I'm with Joaquin and.
You're with the boys, yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix or Joaquin Gage?
Joaquin Gage.
All right.
My
All
favorite.
right. Michael Ferland, should he come back, will make a major difference for the Canucks. Keep it or clip it.
Clip it. They're already doing well. Like what kind of major
Well,
difference?
because he's different than the rest of those guys. He's a physical forward, right? Like he's a bigger
but
physical guy.
have they been struggling with this?
Don't you think that would be a good element to
one
have?
game they struggle against Calgary, and all of a sudden,
Well, they've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
They are still first in the division,
still
though.
first in the division. So
This entire division is shitty right now. It just is.
everybody kept losing
Yeah.
on the same day too.
The Canucks have lost 4 in a row and are still first, and they didn't even have a big cushion on first place. It's bizarre. Vegas is going to win the division, 100%.
And last time we were talking about how we thought Vegas was gonna. Or no, that was me and Tom. I think they were talking about how we feel Vegas may be slipping.
Yeah. It's a
still
weird
feel they
division,
could.
man.
It is
Everybody's
a
up
weird
and down.
division.
Gager, what's your answer to that one?
I'm going to keep it. I think just
he helps?
yeah, big, strong guy. Maybe guys won't take as many liberties with the young Swede.
Well, that's what, I mean, that's something we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like with Pedersen, maybe Ferland can step in.
Or-
Not that Ferland's going to intimidate
no
a lot of
violence.
people.
Can't
but-
do anything. No, shouldn't. You guys like.
I feel like you got kicked out of like an alumni skate or something for being a dick, and now you're like, I don't want to do any violence anymore.
Are you going tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
All right, here we go. NHL 94. They just did TSN did a documentary on NHL 94. So
Did they?
yeah.
Nice.
That was the
NH
first one, wasn't it?
No, it was NHL PA 93, and then they went to NHL 94. I
Okay.
think, I'm pretty sure. NHL 94 is the greatest hockey video game of all time. Keep it or clip it.
Keep it groundbreaking, fantastic, but you shouldn't be allowed to do wraparounds.
That's what I mean. There
that
was a
the
bunch
one-
of cheats. It was
Is that the one with one-timers?
no.
They didn't have one-timers in that one.
One-timers were not in
The
NHL
next
94.
one.
So you skate around. You can skate around the net. And
You
if
go around
skate
the net, come
the
up front and score.
up front, and you could score. It was like a mini glitch in the game.
How can it be the greatest game ever when it's got a stupid glitch that everybody can score on every single time they want?
But when you're playing against
Doesn't
another
mean it was
guy,
a-
you could stop him doing
It
it.
doesn't mean it's a perfect game. Greatest hockey video game ever does not mean it's like the perfect game where there's nothing wrong with it, but it was groundbreaking and revolutionary and wonderful.
It was just
The
so
other
much
glitch
better.
Was you can also put a player right, like interfere with the goalie.
Yeah, hold them off.
yeah, and then you score. It was great. Yeah.
It was a fun game, but better hockey games have come along.
Well,
Can you knock
Yeah.
guys out too?
what's that one stupid football game you play?
Tecmo Super Bowl.
Okay, so
Don't
have-
even say a bad thing about Hernan. I'll come over the table.
Well, okay. So you want to say that the modern day Maddens are not more polished than that game?
Yeah, you're right. It is the greatest game of all time, though. Tecmo Super Bowl. You're right. No, I understand what you're saying. But I even think okay, so NHL 94 was good, but like NHL 99 was a really good
99
game
was
as
good.
well.
Was
Like,
that the first one you could make yourself?
yes, NHL 99 introduced like GM and franchise mode.
Right.
And that one was pretty awesome. You could do drafts, you could do trades. Like that, NHL 99 took it to the next
But
level.
Cass makes a great point, though, because the reason 94 was so good because it had the real players for the
Yeah.
first time ever.
That
Yeah,
was the real
that's
players for
why.
the first time, too.
That's when Roenick dominated.
Yeah,
Cliff Ronning was unbelievable.
he was quick, yes.
Gretz was bleeding on the ice.
Yeah, Gretz, I never played with him in those video games.
Oh yeah, that's when they showed the blood. They got rid of the blood, I think, on the next one.
Violence. I mean, you gotta.
Did you guys know Dusty lost?
Oh, I watched it.
You
Yeah.
lost at one.
I lost.
Yeah.
No, I lost to Yukon Jack. I had won 18 in a row, and he beat me with the Detroit Lions. And the Lions are the reason. The Lions on that game are the reason I became a Lions fan.
Yeah,
and then he beat me with Barry Sanders, which pissed me off. And Barry Sanders only had 3 rushing yards. So I don't want to talk about it. Right
I was so disappointed because I didn't know the backstory of that. And before that, Dusty, you were my Tom Brady. You know, the ball in Dusty's hands with 2 minutes to go. That's great.
I don't know what happened. I
And
panicked.
if you watch some of his plays, he
Oh,
panicked.
I
Because
know.
On
I did
third,
panic.
on 3rd and 17, if he takes the run, he gets at least 10 yards, but he panicked back and threw the ball.
I was going for the win, guys.
I thought you were going to win because I didn't know.
Yukon Jack is my Eli Manning. It's that simple. By the way, NHL, look, good hockey game. I just don't know if it's the greatest, but I'm asking the questions. I'm not answering them. So, Gidger, did you keep it or clip it?
Oh, I kept it.
You kept it as well. Okay.
That was when I was in June. That was my
Was that like a
the
go-to
junior. Like it was Sega Genesis, right?
It was a Sega and Super Nintendo.
It
When
was.
did you make your debut on a video game? 96?
That would have been 97, I think.
97?
Yeah.
I remember I traded you immediately. Just kidding. You couldn't do trades
Got
until
a lo-
99.
Got a lot for me though.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe a controller.
I got Ray Ferraro. All right. If the Leafs don't trade for a top 4 defenseman, they will surely miss the postseason. Keep it or clip it.
Clip it. If Anderson comes back and can play well, I think he can get them to the playoffs. They won't win, but he can get them there.
Potentially.
This is not called keep it, clip it, or potentially.
If I'm gonna pick one side, I have to say, I'm gonna keep it.
You think they miss if they don't get
miss
D-man?
without it.
That's why I think Dubas is going to pull the trigger, man. He's got to get another
And
D-man.
Anderson today spoke with the media and said that he looks like he might be back tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, well, no,
Sorry,
I
I
did
have him
read
in
that.
fantasy. I need him big time.
I read that this morning that he was taking the net, but then they said, why do I keep
They might
Campbell
get one more
and
game.
and Hutchinson are sharing the net? God, that sucks. Ugh.
Sharing the backups net.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you always hate that other guy?
Yeah.
Like, because you probably had a good relationship with the starter.
Not always.
no?
No. I did have pretty good relationships with a lot of guys. I know guys that just they couldn't stand to be in the same room with one another, but
But when there's that other guy and you're like, one of us is not going to be here next week.
yeah, then it's
I would have tried to sewer him
it's a
for sure.
weird triangle. Ever been in a triangle like that before?
Nope.
With goalies?
Tyler, no
That's
comment.
a different podcast.
After hours.
Cass is just staring down right now.
Just thinking about the next question.
Tyler Toffoli will end up in Alberta prior to this year's trade deadline. Keep it or clip it.
Ooh.
I'm gonna clip it. I don't think it happens.
Oh, neither team?
Not to Edmonton or Calgary. No.
Okay. Gager?
I'm going to keep it and hope it happens. I like that guy.
Which team?
Well, I hope Oilers.
I don't think they can fit him in.
Cap
Well,
space,
Calgary could fit him in.
Oh, really?
The Oilers would have to somehow move out some money if they're
Okay,
going to bring in a
never
guy
mind.
like
Well,
that.
how much does he make? 7?
Oh, no. He makes what's he make? Just a sec. Let me
foursome, isn't he?
bring it up.
Is it 4?
Yeah, I think it's around.
I thought he signed a new deal.
It's not like crazy expensive, but it's Oilers expensive for sure. But Calgary moved the Froley contract, right? So they can actually bring in somebody. Toffoli makes 4.6, and then he's a UFA at the end of the year. Well, this last one's not going to work because I said the Oscars are must-watch TV. Keep it or clip it.
Clip it.
Clip
I
it.
don't like. Here's the thing
I
about
like
award
checking
shows.
it out like for half
Here's
of
the
it.
thing about award shows. Like, it's cool to see who wins awards and that, but it just turns into one giant, like, narcissistic, like.
I'll say a big Hollywood jerk-off.
Yeah, they just, like, it's all like they just talking about how sweet they are, and they're all trying to make political statements. Like, yeah, you're gonna make a political statement with a $40,000 gown on. Like, okay, like, Yeah, message received. You really like the rest of us. I don't know.
Should have listened to Joaquin Phoenix's speech.
Yeah, you would have loved Joaquin
Oh,
Phoenix's
didn't he say
speech.
something like talking about like cows and milk?
And, yeah,
He
and
didn't even talk
artificially
about winning or
inseminating
the movie
cows.
or anything, yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
little different though.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
It's all in the name.
yeah.
That's right.
I just I don't think I've ever watched an award show in its entirety.
Well, you sure
Except
know
the
a lot
NHL
about
awards.
award shows for a guy who doesn't watch many of them.
Like what? Saying
Well, they're
they're-
political statements and stuff. How would you know that happens if you don't watch
because I
award
read
shows?
the news, Dusty.
Oh, yeah. I guess you can get a lot of that stuff online nowadays. My bad. All right. So anyway, bad question. Sorry. I thought one of you guys would have liked it. I thought you would be an Oscars guy, Gager.
I don't mind seeing who won Best Actor, Best Supporting, and the
So yeah,
Best
watch
Picture.
like the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, but no, because some are at the beginning. They
Oh,
give
those three were all the last three awards last night were Best Actor, Best Movie, Best Director.
Yeah.
What about actors?
And they jammed them
guys?
into like I don't know where they announced the actors. It must have been earlier in the
Well,
show.
the best supporting roles were like the first two.
Yeah, they're the
Super
first
early,
two.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just don't care who wins
Yeah.
Best. Whatever.
I'm just there for the fashion because
Ugh.
I'm a big fashion guy.
What those dumb awards?
I
Though.
don't ca- even which wins best. I don't care who wins best picture or not best picture because I'm just like, it's not going to affect me.
So you're not
at all.
intrigued to go watch Parasite at all?
Well, that will slightly intrigue me, but for the most part,
So
it's
you
like the
do
only
care.
thing about because you could hear that it's a really good movie from someone that watched it.
I bet you haven't even watched. What are the last 10 years
The
for
top
the
10
picture?
movies?
No, who won Best Picture last 10
Well,
years? Like,
last year was The Green Book, which is really good.
That was
Okay.
good. It was a
Never
good movie.
saw it.
Never saw
Good
it.
Never
movie.
saw it.
I don't think I've watched any of them.
Well,
Lord of
you
the-
got
Lord of
have
the
to watch
Rings?
Huh?
Oscars.
Lord of the Rings.
That won Best Picture.
Yeah, Return of the King.
That's
Did
It won like 8 awards.
that one did. One of them did, right?
The last one, the third one.
Here we are. Academy Award for Best Picture year by year. Let's whip through these last couple 10 and just see.
Is there a hockey movie? Miracle.
Miracle.
Slapshot.
Let's
Blood?
see here. Okay, so Parasite, Green Book. I just said never saw it. Shape of Water.
Nope.
Never saw it.
That's the Creature from the Black Lagoon thing, right?
Moonlight.
Moonlight.
No. Spotlight.
Spotlight's good.
Never
even
saw
heard of
Oh. Don't.
Birdman.
Nope.
I never saw that one, but I kind of wanted to. 12 Years a Slave.
Nope.
Never saw it. Argo. I did see Argo.
Argo's
Nope.
I'm a big Ben Affleck guy. The Artist. Never saw it.
Nope.
The King's Speech.
Nope.
That was actually really good.
Hurt Locker.
I
was
like
also
that
really-
one.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Didn't see it.
No Country for Old Men.
Also
That
really
was good.
The Departed.
The Departed.
That was a great movie.
I didn't like that, but
you
I
didn't like
watched
The
it.
Departed?
I thought it was kind of overdone.
All right, well, let's end right there. You didn't like The Departed?
I don't say I didn't like it, but I didn't think it was a best picture.
Spotlight's a true story about the reporters from the Boston Globe that about the priest.
Oh,
really
True
right.
story, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I never saw that one either. But yeah, so basically we don't watch the best
Yeah.
movie.
Well, I mean, some of them you're just kind of like, why would I? Why? I've said this about movies a lot. I want to go to movies to be entertained or to be challenged. Like be
John
challenged or
Wick.
Be entertained.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
John
what
Wick.
it's like, movies like that. Entertain me. So that's why I don't care about award shows. And I'm like, I don't care about the award. I don't care if this won an award. I just want to be entertained. So entertain me.
So you like Gladiator.
Gladiator is one
Are
of my
you not
favorites of all time.
entertained, right? Like that's your
Exactly.
line. Yeah, that's good.
I named my dog after that guy.
You named your dog
Russell?
Russell Crowe?
The character. Beatheads.
Maximus?
Maximus.
Maximus D. Meridius? Or whatever his name was?
Decimus. Yeah.
All right. What do we,
Gluteus?
what do we have for what do we have for names today here now? What do
Yeah,
you-
I got Charlie Horse Muscle.
Charlie Horse Muscle.
This one's my favorite. Can I touch the hole too?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a little long, but we can make that work.
And then Cass is more sucky.
More.
No, let's go with episode 38. Can I touch the hole too? What do you think, Cass?
Just make sure you get the right two.
Yeah, that's
two.
right. All right, so that's going to do it for episode 38. Thank you to Darren Dreger for joining us. And of course, thank you to our presenting sponsor, OddsShark. Visit them at oddshark.com for all your sports betting info needs. Our friends at Sport Clip Haircuts, home of the MVP experience. Keep it or clip it. And of course, Popeyes Legendary Louisiana Chicken. Try Popeyes Legendary Louisiana Chicken today. That's going to do it for us. For Hernan Salas, Matt Cassie, and Joaquin Gage, I'm Dustin Nielsen. We will be back with episode 39 on Thursday.